He's on the ground, Hayeong screaming as she shields him, a monster closing in for the final blow. How did an ordinary delivery man become the target of assassins? To understand how Sangwoo ended up in this life-or-death battle, let's go back to the beginning. Imagine having a substitute to do all the hard work while you just reap the rewards. Someone to train hard in your place and bear the entire burden of an exhausting routine. For many, this is nothing more than a distant dream for those who wish to live in luxury, but the life I knew was about to be shattered by a brutal and unexpected change. The sky rips open, and winged beasts bring terror to the heart of the modern metropolis. Dragons and monsters dominate the horizon, turning buildings into ruins of concrete and black smoke. Blood stains the asphalt, and despair consumes those who lack the strength to fight. Families try to hide among the wreckage of what they once called home sweet home. But I haven't given up yet. The desire to survive burns stronger than fear. A huntress orders that no one forget to collect the spoils, focused purely on the profit of the hunt. Colossal beasts plummet under the weight of attacks that slice through the air with relentless fury. It might seem like a joke to put in so much effort just to rest afterward, but reality demands sacrifices. Stone giants rise from the earth, challenging the courage of anyone who dares to stand in their way. In the end, aren't we all the same in this desperate search for a more comfortable life? A warrior faces the colossus and curses upon realizing the absurd size of the problem. The monster roars, but the big difference between me and the other hunters is quite simple. I am never alone on the battlefield, no matter how terrible the frontal threat. Blades cross the air, and rock spikes pierce the ground in a deadly ballet of destruction. The resistance tries to hold back the enemy advance, as sparks of energy illuminate the war-torn landscape. A cry of pain escapes, as the impact hurls a combatant against the concrete wall. The beast's eyes glow with an ancient hatred, but the counterattack is already being prepared. 4 masked figures emerge from the shadows, moving with a synchronicity that defies all human logic. Electrical power fries the surrounding oxygen, preparing the final blow that will decide everything. This is where the secret is revealed. My true and only weapon is the ability to clone. What was one now becomes an army, changing the tide of a lost battle. Having someone to bear the weight of the world is the pinnacle of strategy in this new system. While the original rests, the copy trains until its muscles scream for mercy and rest. The bank balance soars to astronomical figures, while I enjoy the sun on a paradisiacal beach. This is the paradise anyone would kill to reach, but the path was long. Before this power, my routine was marked by the monotony of an ordinary young man with no prospects. The world was already infested with creatures that turned daily life into a constant nightmare. I was just another face in the crowd, watching the chaos without being able to truly interfere. The metallic sound of destiny beginning to turn echoes, signaling that my time was about to come. Groups of survivors roamed the destroyed streets, seeking any sign of safety amidst the dust. I looked at the monster corpses and knew I needed to find a way to climb up. "Leave nothing behind," yells the leader, while I daydream about the elite life. Another beast falls dead, and the burden of being a nobody weighs more and more. The creature lets out a final shriek of agony that makes the air vibrate ominously. The Golden Warrior observes the trail of blood, keeping his guard high against new attacks. He questions our human nature, always hungry for more power and more personal comfort. Sweating coldly, he admits the task is gigantic, but retreating was never a valid option. But the advantage is mine, for I carry with me the multiplied effort of several simultaneous lives. The clones advance like lethal ghosts, attacking from all sides without leaving a gap for defense. The impact tears through the beast's carapace, gushing a dark fluid that stains the dry ground. They are fast, precise, and know nothing of the fatigue that paralyzes an ordinary human in battle. Every drop of sweat they shed is a step I climb toward the top. The monster finally collapses, defeated by the strength of a man who learned to multiply himself. My other versions take a deep breath, ready for the next massacre the system orders now. The physical exhaustion is brutal, but the reward of being the strongest compensates for any pain. Cloning is not just a visual trick, it is the ultimate tool to dominate tomorrow. Screams of victory and agony mingle as the dust settles over the new battlefield. Looking back, I see that every step taken on this journey was calculated for my ascension. The world might be in pieces, but I've found a way to rebuild my own destiny. Horizon burns with the promise of new challenges, and I don't intend to stand by and watch. Back in reality, Sangwoo stares at his monitor, feeling the weight of university life. He watches famous hunters on the news, feeling that pang of envy gnaw at his chest. Toasts among friends and moments of leisure seem like memories of a life he never had. The desire to have someone by his side, sharing the weight of responsibilities, has never been stronger. A mysterious young man observes from a distance, guarding secrets Sangwoo can't even begin to imagine. Sangwoo looks at his own reflection, dissatisfied with his current physical form. The city is abuzz with the new skill awakening program about to begin. "I'm gonna get a legendary skill," one guy exclaims, while another scoffs at his intelligence. Sangwoo lets out a heavy sigh, mumbling about how tiresome and meaningless it all is. All he wants is the comfort of his bed and to escape the pressure of university life. "If only I had two bodies," he muses, unaware that this very wish is about to come true. The announcement echoes through the loudspeakers, demanding the attention of all citizens present. Park Won-tae, an A-rank hunter, takes charge of the 10th Portal Awakening program. The crowd watches in absolute silence, every soul there rooting for a miracle to change everything. He wishes everyone luck and orders the first group to advance towards the glowing portal. Sangwoo walks in single file, feeling cold sweat trickle down his back from anxiety. "Am I ready for this?" he questions as he watches the portal devour the candidates. A receptionist confirms his data, informing him that he belongs to Group 37. She scans Sangwoo's bracelet, verifying that his identity is indeed authentic and valid. With confirmation complete, she orders him to leave his belongings and enter the blue rift. His foot crosses the energy line, and a sensation of freefall dominates his senses. The portal roars with a blinding light as Sangwoo is dragged into a test dimension. The system begins scanning his soul, processing data that will define his future. Identification code glows on the screen. Earthling user Jong Sangwoo successfully detected by the system. The young man opens his eyes in a strange place, his head throbbing as if it would explode. He murmurs about the unbearable pain, trying to understand if he just went through a real nightmare. Looking around, he realizes he's in an immense bunker monitored by high-tech drones. Sangwoo notices that many around him are also suffering from the portal's side effects. Suddenly, a girl screams with joy as she manifests a powerful fire phoenix in her hands. Recruiters from famous guilds instantly appear, trying to snatch up the new high-rank prospect. Lucky her, Sangwoo thinks, feeling small amidst such raw talent on display. A man in a suit approaches with a professional smile, congratulating Sangwoo on his own awakening. The young man admits he's not feeling well at all, but the agent insists he check his skill. With trembling hands, Sangwoo decides it's time to face what destiny has bestowed upon him. The status screen materializes before him, glowing with a neon blue that cuts through the air. He discovers that the interface responds purely to thought, making immediate use quite easy. Upon seeing his basic attributes, he feels humiliated by his own weakness, displayed in meager numbers. At least the skill must be good. He tries to convince himself as he reads the final description. The skill name appears, cloning. He freezes, trying to understand how this could possibly be useful. Sangwoo realizes there are no usage restrictions. Could a clone clean his room? The agent asks for the result, and Sangwoo confesses that the numbers don't seem promising at all, at first. The man tries to console the young man, saying that most rookies start from the bottom in the system. Sangwoo reveals his cloning ability, and the agent pauses for a second, his facial expression changing. A stifled laugh escapes the man in the suit, leaving Sangwoo confused and irritated by the reaction. The young man raises an eyebrow, questioning if his new ability is really that bad. The agent explains that illusion clones are known to be useless in real, direct physical combat. Sangwoo remains silent, but deep down, he feels his clone is no mere illusion. The man suggests he head to the registration officers for a more detailed technical evaluation. He gazes at the bunker's center, where seasoned hunters move with constant, frenetic energy. A hunter unleashes an energy burst, shouting to impress the evaluators who observe every move. High-ranking officials scrutinize each awakening, searching for anomalies or talents worth the investment. The pressure of the place is overwhelming, making Sangwoo's chest tighten almost unbearably now. The agent points to the exit, warning him he needs to complete the scan before returning to the portal. In line, the atmosphere crackles with tension as each new awakened receives their final verdict. Sangwoo slowly exhales, trying to control the tremor in his hands before his turn arrives. The technician confirms he has a 73% chance of evolving his ability to higher echelons. The cloning registration is finalized and sent directly to the young man's identification bracelet. He walks among the others, feeling out of place in a world that now demands strength to survive. Already inside the bus, Sangwoo reflects that the entire experience was much faster than he had imagined. He stares at the DNA symbol on the bracelet, wondering what he can truly do with this power. The city landscape blurs past the window, but his eyes are fixed on his own uncertain future. Upon entering his home, he greets his computers as if they were his only true companions. His dark room is his refuge, the place where he feels in control of everything. He observes his gaming setup, remembering that the monthly bills won't pay themselves. Sangwoo sinks into his chair, feeling the weight of the world crush any remaining spirit within him. He decides to log into the game, hoping to find some distraction from the frustration he feels now. What trash drop, he complains, seeing he only got basic items worth nothing. With a frustrated gesture, he shuts everything down and throws himself onto the bed, huffing with pure indignation. The game is dying, and he knows he needs a real plan to pay the rent. The desire to have someone work in his place pounds in Sangwoo's mind once more. A mental spark ignites. He just awakened the perfect ability to solve this exact dilemma. Sangwoo springs to his feet, heart pounding with the possibility of testing his skill right now. He positions himself in the center of the room, closing his eyes to focus on the energy flow. The air around him begins to swirl, a mystical bluish smoke starting to emanate from nothing. The young man focuses on every detail of himself, trying to project his own image into the empty space. With an absolute mental command, he internally screams for the system to summon his first clone. The energy explodes in a dazzling flash, molding a human form from light and smoke. The shock is so immense that a scream escapes Sangwoo as he sees the figure complete itself. He recoils, his body reacting to the shock of seeing another person appear right in the middle of his room. The smoke slowly dissipates, revealing something he never imagined he would see with his own eyes. On the floor, a form stirs, proving the creation was an absolute and terrifying success. Sangwoo cautiously extends a hand, wanting to touch it to know if it's truly real and tangible. The clone's foot touches the wooden floor, making the same sound a human foot would. A perfect, naked replica of Sangwoo stands before him, unmoving like a statue of flesh. The ensuing silence is unsettling, the two staring at each other as if time itself had stopped. He examines the copy's torso, noting that every physical detail has been reproduced with millimeter-perfect precision. From fingertips to toes, there's no doubt. This is a real, functional, physical body. Sangwoo stammers a few words, still processing the fact that he's no longer alone there. "Are you truly my clone?" he asks, his voice faltering due to nervousness. The clone responds with a simple yes, confirming it possesses consciousness and immediate dialogue capability. The young man asks if he can touch it, and the clone consents, calling him master with utter submission. The strangeness of the situation reaches its peak, and Sangwoo feels his face burn with bizarre shame. He orders the clone to fully awaken, attempting to assume the role of leader in this mad experiment. The two stand face to face, sharing the same gaze and identical facial features. Sangwoo squeezes the clone's arm, feeling the resistance of muscles and the warmth of real skin. The copy merely waits, showing no emotion or will of its own that would challenge its creator. The clone springs to its feet the instant Sangwoo's thought crosses its mental command. Sangwoo demands it repeat the exercise multiple times, wanting to see just how long its stamina will last. The clone begins to pant, sweat beading on its forehead as the physical exertion accumulates. He realizes the clone's endurance is exactly identical to his own, a faithful mirror of his limitations. The copy's physical fatigue is visible, but Sangwoo senses there's something more profound at play. His phone vibrates in his pocket, bringing messages from a contact Sangwoo prefers to simply ignore for now. He checks the device while the clone continues to exercise frantically beside him. The screen shows notifications from someone mocking his probable failure in today's awakening. The guy asks if he gained a lying down skill, laughing at Sangwoo incessantly. Annoyed, he mutters about how unbearable that guy is and that he should just mind his own business. But as he locks his phone, a system notification materializes, floating right in midair. The blue glow draws his gaze to a message that completely changes the game forever. Sangwoo's stamina has increased by 0.01, precisely in sync with the clone's exercises. Shock paralyzes Sangwoo. His substitute's training is strengthening his own original body. 5 years is nothing, and an air of anticipation now grips every corner of the city. The night sky glows with the city lights as society braces for this total transformation. Grand corporations and hunter towers dominate the landscape, showcasing who truly rules in this new era of powers. Meanwhile, Sangwoo's clone runs ceaselessly through the park, panting and drenched in sweat under the sun. It's at its physical limit, but continues to push forward, knowing every drop of sweat matters. Two men observe from afar, impressed by the dedication of the young man who trains there every single day. The clone finally stops and collapses onto a bench, gasping for breath after an absurd training session. Sweat streams down its face as Sangwoo approaches to closely observe his experiment's progress. Sangwoo hands it a water bottle, telling it to drink before starting to run all over again. The clone merely stares in silence, processing its master's order with that vacant, utterly submissive gaze. Suddenly, the clone rises and resumes running, leaving Sangwoo behind with an expression of surprise. 20 kilograms lost in a month, and even the sensation of having grown a few centimeters. Sangwoo can barely believe it. A notification floats in the air, announcing his stamina has increased. The clone's training is validated. In the next instant, another alert shows a brutal increase in his resistance, transforming his body into a combat machine. His reflexes also improved by 0.01, proving the evolution system is meticulously precise. He smiles, understanding that the cloning ability is a mirror of his deepest desires to be strong. Sitting in his chair, Sangwoo begins to list everything he's discovered about the practical workings of his copies. The first rule is brutal. The clone's pain and exhaustion do not affect his original body in any way whatsoever. The second, the clone simply vanishes if it suffers fatal damage or expends energy beyond its limit. And the third rule is clear. The copies instantly change appearance whenever Sangwoo's original body undergoes alterations. Sangwoo orders the clone to stop running and start doing push-ups in the middle of the park, without rest. He tries to make the clone use its own cloning ability, but the copy is incapable. Sangwoo understands. If the clones could multiply, he'd have an infinite army. The world would be utterly broken. He returns to his computer and types frantically, searching for vital information on the global Hunter network. A Hunter Wiki website loads on screen, revealing data about attributes and how awakened individuals function in this new system. Sangwoo never imagined he'd one day be navigating such technical and advanced content. He reads that the limit for an ordinary, unawakened man is just 1 point in each main attribute. The screen glows, showing Sangwoo's stats. His strength and reflexes rise steadily and rapidly. His stamina and endurance have taken a massive leap, while his mana remains stable at its current level. Since the clone trains non-stop and follows orders to the limit, the attribute gains are much faster. He thinks he could have gained even more points if he trained alongside, but he knows he wouldn't be able to keep up with that insane pace. Sangwoo finds a gym flyer and begins to seriously consider more professional training. He falls silent for a moment, planning how he will divide tasks between himself and his loyal substitute. The computer screen shows images of hunters in combat, reminding him that the world out there is far too dangerous. Sangwoo decides he will be the mind behind everything, while the clone will be the arms and legs. He checks his phone balance, and his heart freezes. The money is running out, with only 120,000 won left. Nothing is left for registration fees and the basic bills piling up on the table. He sighs, remembering how much he spent on food to keep this new body's metabolism accelerated. Sangwoo realizes he urgently needs a part-time job, as his workshop isn't bringing in any income. His fingers fly across the keyboard, searching for manual labor jobs at nearby construction sites. The plan is clear: earn money and train his body at the same time, using the clone to do all the work. The man on the other end explains its delivery work and asks when he can start. The contractor then asks if he would be available to start even today, as demand is extremely high. Sangwoo confirms it's possible, and the man tells him to show up at the logistics center at 6:30 in the evening. He hangs up the phone, deep in thought, wondering if the place is so disorganized that they'll accept anyone like this. But he quickly dismisses the doubt. What matters is getting paid right after the shift ends. The aerial view reveals the enormous logistics complex, where Sangwoo and his clone will face their first real challenge. Sangwoo arrives at the location and observes the intense movement of trucks and boxes being loaded everywhere. He brings clone number 1, properly disguised with a hood and mask to avoid suspicion. Sangwoo considers saying they are twins, but fears something might go wrong if people look too closely. He instructs the clone to respond well and tells him his work name today will be Gyeongdo. The building is gigantic, and Sangwoo feels a bit lost as he searches for the office to register. Suddenly, someone shouts his name in the middle of the yard, putting Sangwoo on high alert. A man in a yellow shirt approaches with a wide smile, asking what Sangwoo is doing there. Sangwoo recognizes him immediately and exclaims, "Mr. Deokshil," surprised by the unexpected encounter. Deokshil says he almost didn't recognize him because he'd lost so much weight, and Sangwoo introduces the clone as a friend. The man points the way to the office, and Sangwoo thanks him for the help, relieved to find a familiar face. They quickly say goodbye, and Sangwoo moves forward, feeling that his luck has finally started to turn. He takes a deep breath, trying to control the nervousness that insists on tightening his chest. Sangwoo admits he's quite anxious about this infiltration operation using his copy in a public environment. He asks the clone if he's nervous, but the copy responds with a dry and direct, "Not now." Sangwoo cracks a small smile and reminds himself that he is now an awakened hunter too. He tells them to finish this quickly so they can eat ramen at home and rest from all that tension. At work, Sangwoo realizes he was arrogant to underestimate the toughness of carrying those heavy boxes. The clone continues moving loads non-stop, while Sangwoo notes that the flow of goods seems endless. Other workers huff and sweat around them, showing that the pace there is deadly for any normal person. The manual labor is intense and demands every muscle in the body, transforming the warehouse into a true training ground. Sangwoo observes the others and wonders if they have any special abilities to move such heavy things. Mr. Deokshil watches from afar as the men work hard under the bright lights of the logistics warehouse. Sangwoo regrets coming as he realizes the clone could handle everything alone without constant supervision. A voice echoes through the warehouse, announcing the start of a 1-hour break for all workers on the shift. Sangwoo admits it's incredibly tiring but tries to maintain his composure under the veteran's watchful eye. Deokshil comments that both of them have grit, as most people bolt from the job by this time of night. Sangwoo jokes that he only didn't run because of his empty bank account, and everyone shares a laugh at the situation. The man asks which university Sangwoo attends, and is visibly impressed to learn he's from the renowned Gyeonggo-guk. The clone intervenes, downplaying the university, maintaining his disguise as just a friend. Deokshil tells him not to be modest, and reveals he'd love for his daughter to get into a university like that. Sangwoo tries to reassure the man, saying he wasn't a great student himself, but managed to get in through other means. The man grows curious, and Sangwoo explains he got in through special permits and a differentiated admission process back then. Deokshil's eyes light up with the idea, realizing this could be the solution for his daughter's future. He falls into thought for a few seconds, gazing at Sangwoo as if he'd just discovered a hidden treasure. Suddenly, he asks if Sangwoo would be interested in taking on another part-time job, one much more peaceful than this. Sangwoo is bewildered and asks what kind of job it would be, completely unaware of what the man is planning. Deokshil proposes that instead of exhausting himself carrying boxes, Sangwoo tutor his daughter in private lessons. The shock is immense, and Sangwoo lets out a gasp of surprise, unable to believe he received such an offer right here in the warehouse. He repeats the word tutor aloud, processing the idea of teaching someone while his clone handles all the rest. Sangwoo checks his phone and sees time slipping by, as he carefully considers Mr. Deokshil's lucrative proposition. He wears a thoughtful expression, beginning to calculate if accepting this new responsibility would truly be worth it. Sangwoo asks if he'd have to teach all subjects, and Deokshil confirms his daughter is truly struggling with her studies. The man offers 50,000 won for each 2-hour lesson, suggesting 2 weekly sessions to kick off the tutoring. Sangwoo realizes the rate is excellent for the time spent, and decides this is an opportunity he absolutely cannot miss. He accepts the deal and shakes Deokjil's hand, who thanks him profusely for the help he's about to provide. The man promises to speak with his daughter and get in touch soon, confirming if Sangwoo still uses the same number. Alone, Sangwoo looks up at the sky, hoping this new tutoring gig will truly work out for him. The system glows once more, informing him that his stamina and endurance continue to rise, thanks to the constant effort of clone number 1. He celebrates landing a new job and gaining improved attributes simultaneously, feeling success drawing closer. Another worker passes by, pushing a cart, and informs them that more cargo is arriving to be unloaded. Sangwoo realizes he still has a lot of work ahead and braces himself to face the remainder of the grueling shift. He feels an absurd hunger pang and decides he'll eat something substantial before continuing with his skill tests. But something strange happens, and he lets out a sound of doubt as he looks at his food bag. He glares at the clone and realizes the copy has an expression like someone who's just pulled a prank. Sangwoo is in shock to notice that his food has mysteriously vanished from inside its packaging. The clone is full-mouthed, audaciously munching on what remained of Sangwoo's snack. Annoyed, Sangwoo curses the copy for devouring everything and realizes that clones also feel a ravenous hunger. He collapses onto the floor, feeling that this day is proving far more exhausting than he could ever have imagined. Sangwoo mutters that this is going to be the death of him, but then quickly makes an important decision about how to use the clone. He resolves that clone number 1 will officially take on this permanent part-time job from now on. The system notifies him that his endurance has risen again, and Sangwoo notices the clone is working incredibly hard in the yard. He orders the copy to return home, preferring not to make it disappear to avoid leaving clothes strewn on the floor. As the night deepens, silence fills the room, while Sangwoo awaits the return of his loyal, hard-working substitute. He sits on his bed and reflects on the bizarre power he now holds in his hands, a power to change his life. His gaze is serious and focused, showing that Sangwoo is no longer the lost, aimless youth he once was. The door creaks open, and a familiar silhouette appears in the doorway, bringing the clone's presence back. The clone enters and announces his return, calling Sangwoo master with that same mechanical, obedient voice. Sangwoo tells him to go shower and change clothes immediately to wash off the smell of sweat and exhaustion. The sound of falling water echoes through the apartment as the clone follows the hygiene order dictated by his creator. Sangwoo watches the dirty clothes in the hamper and realizes how strange and surreal his life has become lately. The clone emerges from the shower refreshed, and the two stand face to face, sharing the same face and physique. Sangwoo extends his arm and orders the clone to give him its hand for a new experiment he has planned. He firmly holds the copy's hand, feeling the warmth and texture of the skin, identical to his own. Sangwoo takes a deep breath, preparing for something that might be painful, but necessary to test the system's limits. He swallows hard and picks up a sharp needle, looking at the clone with a mix of fear and scientific curiosity. Sangwoo pierces the clone's skin, and a groan of pain escapes, but he continues the test to see the result. A small drop of blood appears at the puncture site, confirming that the clone is biologically real in every aspect. The clone remains motionless, accepting the injury without complaint, while Sangwoo observes its reaction with heightened attention. He apologizes for the injury and praises the clone's resilience, cleaning the blood carefully and with a hint of guilt. Sangwoo wonders when he will unlock the regeneration attribute, something vital for any hunter who wishes to survive the chaos. He imagines if a month of frequent tests will be enough to awaken this new and powerful passive ability in his body. It's terrifying to injure himself through the clone, but Sangwoo decides he will continue to do so with controlled frequency. He orders the clone to eat ramen and train whenever it feels hungry, ensuring the copy is always evolving. Sangwoo hands a spare phone to the clone to take to work, instructing it to answer calls with great care and discretion. The next day, Sangwoo walks through the bustling city streets, focused on his next step towards the pinnacle of power. He spots the gym building and feels he's on the right track to optimize the training of his future copies. Suddenly, a strong slap hits his back, and someone shouts his name, startling Sangwoo on the busy sidewalk. An extremely muscular man appears, laughing, and Sangwoo recognizes Kim Kyung-do, an old acquaintance he hadn't seen in ages. Kyung-do embraces Sangwoo tightly and comments on how much weight he's lost, impressed by his friend's radical physical transformation. Sangwoo explains that he's been training hard lately and is heading to the gym right now to continue his exercises. The big guy says he also needs to train, and jokes that Sangwoo still has a lot of fat to burn in this new body. Sangwoo points to the Tough Body Gym, and Kyung-do confirms that the place is famous for its great instructors and equipment. Sangwoo says he didn't see anything special besides the hefty price, but Kyung-do soon reveals the true reason for its fame. With a mischievous look, the big guy says that the female instructors there are very beautiful, which attracts many new students. Kyung-do runs ahead, and Sangwoo follows, complaining that he's not just going there to see women. They enter the gym, and the sound of machines in motion fills the air with an energy of pure effort. A man with a ponytail trains biceps with absurd concentration, ignoring everything around him as he pulls the weight. The row of treadmills is packed with people seeking perfect physical conditioning to survive in this new world of hunters. In the back, free weights are dominated by those seeking brute strength, showing that the gym is taken very seriously there. One of the instructors is having a quick snack during his break, preparing to attend to the new clients who just arrived. Kyung-do and Sangwoo observe the place and agree that the structure is truly very good and professional for training. The instructor stands up and welcomes them, offering a special discount for those who sign up for a 3-month membership today. Sangwoo decides to take the plan and asks the instructor to correct his posture on the machines so he can learn the right way. The man agrees to help with the payment, and Sangwoo hands over his card, knowing that the investment will be worth every penny spent. The machine room is ready to be used, and Sangwoo prepares for the first technical training of his new life. He positions himself on the incline bench press and lets out a heavy sigh, feeling the weight of the metal bar in his firm hands. Sangwoo lets out a battle cry as he pushes the weight up, determined to learn every movement so his clone can copy it with total perfection. The instructor's muscles ripple as he demonstrates how it's done, pulling the weight as if it were nothing, showcasing years of training. Sangwoo watches in silence, absorbing every technical detail to pass on to the clones. He knows that perfect execution is the secret to rapid gains. The big guy smiles, satisfied to see a novice so focused. He believes Sangwoo has been training for a long time due to the vigor he displays. Another student stops what he's doing, impressed by the energy in the room. Sangwoo's focus is unlike anything he's ever seen. Sangwoo's hand grips the bar with absolute determination. He isn't just there for health, but to become invincible soon. Another deep sigh echoes through the crowded gym. Sweat pours down, but Sangwoo's mind is elsewhere, planning the future. The instructor laughs and says he must have been training for years. Sangwoo calmly replies, "No, it's my first time here today." The man freezes and asks if he's awakened some strength ability. He wants to know the exact status of this strange young man. Sangwoo jokes that his strength status is only 2.1. The big guy envies the ease with which he lifts heavy loads. Sangwoo wonders how powerful elite hunters must be. If a basic ability does this, the top must be a completely different world. His phone vibrates in his pocket, interrupting the flow of his thoughts. He wipes the sweat and answers the call that could change his plans. It's Mr. Deokchil on the line, with an excited and urgent voice. He wants to know if Sangwoo can start the tutoring job today. The image of his disappointed friend makes Sangwoo chuckle. In the end, it's better to train alone to keep his secrets hidden. Without needing to send clones to the gym, everything becomes easier. He steps into the building's elevator, focused on what Mr. Deokchil wants. Sangwoo pauses before door number 603 with hesitation. He hears muffled shouts coming from inside the apartment and finds the situation strange. "Why did you decide this all by yourself, Dad?" An irritated female voice screams. Sangwoo realizes he's arrived at a moment of extreme family tension. Mr. Deokchil is thrown against the door as he tries to defend himself. He shouts that Sangwoo is already on his way and that she should behave. The father apologizes for the chaos and tries to regain his composure. Sangwoo just says it's okay, attempting to break the strange ice. The mother appears with a fruit plate, smiling at the guest. She can barely believe this is the same Sangwoo from before. "You've lost so much weight, I barely recognized you," the woman exclaims. Sangwoo smiles and says he's been training hard lately to change his life. He tries to change the subject to focus on the reason for his visit. The goal here is education, not his current radical physical transformation. Sangwoo sits down and looks at the young woman across from him. You're Hayeong, right? He asks with a firm, calm voice. She responds with a timid whisper, hiding her face, flushed with embarrassment. Her former rebelliousness vanished, replaced by a sudden, cute shyness. Her parents watch from the side, barely stifling their laughter at their daughter. They whisper that she was screaming just a second ago, and now she's blushing. Hayeong thinks about how much she screamed and wishes she could disappear. She's certain Sangwoo heard every word of her childish tantrum. Sangwoo ignores the tension and asks to see her grades. He explains he needs to know her current level to start the study plan. The girl's eyes widen, feeling the weight of reality crash down on her. Her grades are a disaster, and she knows the embarrassment will only grow. She hands him the paper with trembling hands and a sweating face. Sangwoo takes the document and begins to analyze the numbers with utmost seriousness. The table shows extremely low grades in almost all important subjects of the year. Her national ranking is worrisome for someone aiming for university. The silence in the dining room becomes heavy and uncomfortable for everyone. The parents watch the tutor's reaction, hoping for a miracle for their daughter. Mr. Deokchil slowly gets up, trying to escape the tense atmosphere in the room. He says he needs to go to work and thanks Sangwoo for his help. The mother complains about her husband's escape, calling him a traitor. Sangwoo merely focuses on the paper, strategizing how to solve this pedagogical problem. He looks at Hayeong, who has her head bowed, expecting a lecture. But Sangwoo's gaze isn't judgmental. It's pure strategy. The girl feels small before the imposing presence of her new tutor. She fears he'll give up on her after seeing her terrible academic record. Sangwoo smiles and confesses that he also didn't get good grades in school. He says he has great tips for memorizing everything efficiently. Really? She asks, her eyes shining with hope for the first time. She feels motivated by the confidence he shows in her success. Of course, we'll do our best together, Sangwoo asserts firmly. Hayeong excitedly agrees, feeling like she can finally learn something with him. Later, he walks back home under the blue sky. His mind continues working, divided between tutoring and clone training. Entering his room, he sighs and thinks of the long road ahead. He still needs a lot of money to buy high-level skills. The image of Hayeong diligently studying is etched in his mind. He's happy she's a hard-working girl, despite her low grades. She truly seems willing to change her academic situation with his help. This gives Sangwoo a sense of accomplishment for today. He puts his things away and thinks of his #1 clone working. He knows the copy is in logistics, earning their daily sustenance. The clone must be in the middle of a tough shift now, without complaining. Sangwoo sits down in front of his computer to research something far more important. He reflects on the problem of having many clones and needing multiple phones. Buying several devices will cost a fortune he doesn't yet possess. Sangwoo accesses the Hunter website, searching for abilities that complement his own. He needs something that shares senses between himself and his copies. If he can see what the clone sees, his efficiency will double. He navigates through tip forums, but what he finds leaves him disheartened. Advertisements for telepathy rings and magic scrolls gleam on the screen. But next to each item, there's a price that seems like a cruel joke. A familiar skill that shares vision costs 100 million won. It's the kind of power used by leaders of renowned major guilds. Another telepathy scroll is being sold for 400 million won. Sangwoo's stomach churns as he sees these astronomical numbers on the screen. With that money, I'd rather buy a house than an ability, he grumbles. The financial barrier for elite hunters is simply gigantic and unfair. He steps away from the monitor, frustrated by the lack of immediate resources. The world of the awakened seems reserved only for those born rich. He wonders how hunters manage to earn so much money to afford this. Social inequality in this new world is more cruel than he ever imagined. Sangwoo checks his current bank balance on his spare phone's app. The number on the screen is a paltry 233,000 won. Damn it! He yells, throwing himself onto the bed in complete rage and frustration. This amount wouldn't even cover the application fee for a decent course. He stares at the ceiling, and a dangerous idea begins to take shape. Should I really become a hunter and fight? He wonders. On TV, the news showcases the luxurious lives of A-class hunters. They are wealthy celebrities, living in exorbitantly expensive apartments in the city center. Sangwoo stands up, driven by cold determination and a necessary greed. He no longer wants to be a manual laborer for the rest of his miserable life. He knows his cloning ability is wasted on common, manual jobs. He has the potential to be a one-man guild. "It's decided," he declares, grabbing his coat with a swift, firm motion. Fear has given way to the ambition of reaching the top of the pyramid. "I'll try to be a hunter," he exclaims to the empty room, sealing his fate. The journey to true power begins with this courageous first step today. Years ago, the world faced the great disaster that almost extinguished humanity. Portals opened, and cruel monsters began to spill blood through the city streets. The global population was halved in a desperate war for survival. The end seemed inevitable against the brutal, magical might of those infernal creatures. Hope was a luxury no one could afford in those grim days. It seemed humanity's reign over Earth had reached its definitive end. But, at the peak of the chaos, the first superhumans with divine special powers emerged. They were called hunters, the only line of defense against the monstrous invasion. Powerful silhouettes rose amidst the smoking ruins of war-torn metropolises. These unlikely heroes used their magic and weapons to turn the tide of fate. On the front lines, humanity fought and, with immense sacrifice, won the war. Today, life continues in a fragile balance, protected by the new elite of awakened beings. On his phone, a video explains how to pass the exam to obtain a license. The instructor states that, with the license, you can legally hunt monsters across the country. Sangwoo listens to the tips with maximum attention, memorizing every important detail of the test. He knows that mental preparation is just as crucial as physical strength now. He arrives at the Hunter Center, an imposing building that exudes power and authority. It is here that the future of every aspiring hunter is officially decided. A crowd of candidates gathers at the entrance, all seeking the same chance. The atmosphere is thick with nervousness and anticipation for the upcoming tests. Some vendors try to push cheap equipment on desperate rookies looking for an edge. Sangwoo ignores them all, focused only on his goal of passing today. A bald, muscular man walks past him, exuding a veteran's aura. Not everyone here is a beginner. Many seek to rank up to earn more. A hunter with a wide-brimmed hat observes the new talents with disdain. He's seen many fall on their first day and doesn't expect much from this batch. Sangwoo enters the building and is impressed by the cutting-edge technology of the place. He feels small in this elite environment, but his will is unshakable. It seems there aren't many people taking the test today, he thinks, looking around. He expected a larger crowd, but the profession's danger scares off the cowards. The receptionist announces that registrations for the underground test are almost closing. Time is running out, and Sangwoo quickens his pace to not miss his spot. Underground, huh? I confess I'm getting a little nervous now, he admits. He takes a deep breath, trying to control the adrenaline coursing through his young veins. He reaches the door of the license testing room, an austere and cold place. The destiny of many ends here before the real hunt even begins. "Excuse me," he says, slowly opening the door and entering the spacious room. He is met by curious stares, and some filled with pure, alien judgment. There are candidates of all types, bandaged veterans, anxious youths, and silent brutes. Sangwoo realizes the competition will be much tougher than he imagined. Why are there so many people here? He thinks, surprised by the number of candidates. The room's silence is broken only by the low whispers of those waiting. Two candidates chuckled at Sangwoo's shyness upon entering, calling him an idiot in hushed tones. They believe he's just another easy victim for the monsters. Suddenly, the sound of heavy boots echoes across the marble floor. Someone with an overwhelming presence is approaching the central platform of the room. A strong, calloused hand rests on the table, instantly silencing everyone present. The tension in the room escalates to unbearable levels in just a few seconds. Examiner Han Myungwon introduces himself as an experienced Rank C hunter. He will be responsible for evaluating who has what it takes to survive. He explains that the test has 3 parts: written, practical, and moral aptitude. Han warns that any attempt at cheating will result in immediate disqualification and an annual ban. His gaze is icy and penetrating, as if he could read everyone's soul. "We never forgive cheaters," he states with a voice that sends chills down one's spine. The candidates who were laughing earlier are now pale and sweating cold with pure dread. The reality of being a hunter begins to weigh heavily on everyone's shoulders. Sangwoo swallows hard, feeling the intense pressure Han exerts on the room. He realizes that the world of hunters tolerates no errors or mental weaknesses. "Now let's begin," the examiner commands, officially starting the selection process. Papers begin to be distributed, and the silence becomes absolute and cutting. Meanwhile, on the sun-drenched streets, a luxurious car speeds through the city. The driver appears to be in an important meeting via his earpiece. It's CEO Kang, a businessman living at the edge of corporate stress. He seems to be hearing serious complaints from a superior or company partner. "Wait a minute, boss. I didn't just start in this business yesterday," he says with forced calm. He tries to soothe the tempers of whoever is on the other end of the line. The conversation seems to intensify, and he lets out a groan of contained frustration in traffic. The burden of managing a hunter agency is taking its toll on his health. "He's killing me," Kang grumbles, feeling pressure from all possible sides now. He urgently needs new talents to save his agency's finances. He complains that money isn't coming in, but debts and payments keep growing. The survival of JM Agency depends on the new hunters who will emerge from today's exam. He checks his watch, calculating how much time is left until the end of the national exam. It must be almost over, he thinks, hoping to find a rough diamond among the rookies. The sun begins to set, painting the sky with shades of orange and blood red. It is the hour when new destinies are sealed and careers truly begin. Back at the center, Sangwoo stares at a floating window in front of him with surprise. "Congratulations on passing, Hunter Rank F," reads the glowing message from the government system. He is confused, unable to believe the process was so quick and straightforward. He expected a deadly challenge, but the result came almost anticlimactically. "What? That's it?" he thinks, scratching his head as he looks at the digital certificate. He thought passing the test was as simple as getting a driver's license. The written exam questions were basic, requiring only a bit of common, easy memorization. He answered everything without needing much mental effort or prior study. In the practical shooting test, they gave plenty of time to train before the actual assessment. The target was so close that it was almost impossible to miss the decisive final shot. The moral aptitude test felt like an elementary school quiz on what's right. The examiner asked if he ever thought about shooting people, and he simply denied it. Sangwoo walks through the corridors, questioning if the government should really be so negligent. After all, they are handing out weapons and licenses to kill people without rigorous criteria. He feels like something is wrong, as if the system is making it too easy for cannon fodder to enter. But now he has what he wanted, and he can't go back on his decision. "It seems the government desperately wants us to do their dirty work," he reflects. "The need for hunter labor is greater than their concern for safety." Well, best not to overthink it now, he decides, trying to push the paranoia from his mind. The important thing is that he is now an official, legalized hunter in the country. As he leaves the building, he notices several men in suits approaching the candidates who passed the exam. They look like vultures waiting to profit from the blood of the nation's new warriors. They are recruiters from smaller guilds and talent agencies, searching for fresh, cheap meat. They offer promises of glory and contracts that hide abusive and dangerous clauses. Sangwoo observes from afar, trying to avoid eye contact with those corporate predators of the system. He knows that allying with the wrong guild could mean his premature death in the field. Are they from famous guilds trying to recruit the best of us? He wonders. He doubts that major guilds would be interested in mere F-rank beginners. A smiling man approaches and formally congratulates him on passing the license test. He extends a business card with a professional, rehearsed salesman's gesture. Sangwoo takes the card and reads the company name, JM Agency. The design is simple, but it conveys an image of seriousness that immediately catches his eye. The man introduces himself as Kang Jun-mo and offers his full support and logistics services. He promises to help with items and monster scouting for a small service fee. "Ah, I understand, thank you," Sangwoo replies politely, but keeping his guard up and alert. He doesn't want to sign anything without first understanding how this obscure market works. Kang Jun-mo continues talking about how his agency is the best in the industry for beginners. Sangwoo is already focused on leaving to test his new possibilities with the clones. "I'll contact you another time," Sangwoo says, leaving in a hurry before the man can insist further. He rushes towards the sunset, feeling that time is precious. Kang Junmo is left behind, silently pleading for the young man to actually call him. The recruiter's desperation is visible in his tired eyes, belonging to someone fighting to survive. Night falls over the city, and apartment lights begin to twinkle on the dark horizon. Sangwoo is back in his refuge, ready for the next step of his plan. He lets out a victorious laugh, feeling the power of his unique ability pulse in his hands. Now that he has the license, the rules of the game have completely changed in his favor. "Cloning really is the best ability in the world," he exclaims, activating his magic once more. White smoke begins to form around him, dense and full of energy. Clone number 2 emerges before him, a perfect copy in every physical aspect possible. The connection between them is strong, though Sangwoo still can't see through his eyes. "I'm counting on your work, number 2, the original says with a confident, excited smile. He now has a team of 3 selves to achieve his financial and power goals. With the business cards and license in hand, he finally feels ready to act. The future no longer seems as bleak and limited as it did just a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, Kang Junmo rests his hand on the car seat, looking at his own cards. He hopes his luck will change and that he'll find the right hunter today. "I hope they call me," he murmurs, feeling the weight of responsibility on his tired shoulders. He needs a quick success to keep his small agency running and alive. The silence of the car is broken only by the distant sound of the bustling metropolis traffic outside. Kang Junmo looks out the window, lost in thoughts about the uncertain future of his career. In the heart of the city stands the official building of the Hayeong Guild, number 1 in Korea. It's a skyscraper of glass and steel that symbolizes the apex of the Awakened's power. Inside the building, important documents are strewn across a luxurious and cold office desk. The atmosphere there isn't one of heroism, but of raw business and profit above all else. A man calmly sips coffee while giving orders about the current month's accounting. He states that the values must strictly follow the list he personally prepared. Kang Junmo, who also seems to work there, accepts the documents with a respectful gesture. He begins reviewing the prices of materials collected from the main guild's recent hunts. Suddenly, he notices something strange in the numbers and frowns with pure professional distrust. The value of a specific item doesn't match the current market price in the region. He looks at the list: slimes, horned rabbits, and the valuable troll blood for 2 million. The numbers seem far too low for items that are extremely difficult to obtain. This is wrong, he thinks, smelling the corruption emanating from the guild's invoices. He knows someone is siphoning money from the hunters who risk their lives. Junmo points out that troll blood should be worth at least 5 million won on the market. His superior, sipping his coffee, merely stares at him with a look that says, "I know too much." "Junmo, it's been a while since you joined us at Hayeong, hasn't it?" the man asks. The question carries an implicit threat that makes the air in the room freeze. Junmo confirms, feeling cold sweat trickle down his back under his boss's gaze. He realizes that questioning the system of the number 1 guild could be a fatal mistake. His superior states that he needs to be smarter and quicker to understand how things work. He says that perfectly following all the rules leaves no profit for anyone in the end. The man forcefully puts down his mug and approaches Junmo with a false, dangerous smile. He tells Junmo not to be so sensitive about the guild's internal, lucrative business. He touches Junmo's shoulder as if they were friends, but the pressure of his hand is a clear warning. "Understood?" he asks, making it clear that he will not tolerate any more questions about the values. Junmo leaves the room feeling like a coward for not standing his ground against that clear injustice. He regrets not having stayed silent and avoided drawing attention to himself. He walks down the corridor, feeling like a fish out of water in that nest of greedy, wealthy snakes. He knows his integrity is worth nothing in that building of luxury and corruption. His phone rings in his pocket, interrupting his wave of self-pity and deep sadness in the corridor. He answers without checking who it is, expecting just another complaint or debt collection call. But his voice changes instantly upon realizing who is on the other end of the line now. "Yes, this is Kang Junmo of JM Agency," he says, trying to sound as professional as possible. The scene cuts to a stylish coffee shop called Starlux, illuminated by the warm yellow lights of the cold night. It's a neutral place where many hunters make their first hunting and partnership contracts. Kang Junmo enters the place, adjusting his suit and trying to hide the exhaustion of the grueling day. He looks around, searching for the young man who called him with interest a short while ago. Sangwoo raises his hand from a back table, signaling his presence with a discreet gesture. He's wearing a green vest and seems much more relaxed than during their first encounter. Junmo approaches and apologizes for keeping the young man waiting so long at the coffee shop. Sangwoo says it's no problem, as he also just arrived at the meeting spot. The attendant watches them from the counter, accustomed to seeing this type of negotiation between rookie hunters. The aroma of fresh coffee fills the air, creating an atmosphere of calm before the storm. Junmo sits down and gets straight to the point, knowing that hunters value time and efficiency. He wants to know exactly what the young man is looking for in his first hunting experience. "You want to go to a safe hunting ground that even a rookie can handle, right?" he asks. Sangwoo confirms with a nod, keeping his full focus on Junmo's proposal. The recruiter asks what specific skill Sangwoo possesses so he can recommend the best place. "It's cloning," the young man replies, revealing his ace with a calm that surprises Junmo. Junmo becomes pensive, recalling he'd heard of this rare skill, but it was usually considered useless. He asks if it's not just that technique that creates illusions that can't do anything physical. Sangwoo takes a sip of coffee and explains that for a rookie, illusions wouldn't really help much in a fight, but he hints that his ability might be something far more powerful and tangible. Junmo is impressed by how quickly Sangwoo finishes his drink and presents the official agency contract. He asks the young man to carefully read each clause regarding safety and profit. The recruiter recommends the slime hunting ground as the first option for an F rank. He warns about the poisonous gases the creatures release upon death, requiring the use of masks. "That won't be a problem for me," Sangwoo states with a mysterious, confident smile. He takes a photo of the contract, already thinking about how his clones will handle the toxins. Junmo suggests hunting horned rabbits as a second, safer, and more lucrative long-term option. Sangwoo observes the monster images, knowing his life as a hunter has truly begun today. He emphasizes that these fields are the only ones where he can guarantee a rookie's complete safety right now. Sangwoo evaluates the options and likes the resale values of the items he can acquire in these areas. He slides the paper firmly and states that he wishes to proceed immediately with that agency contract. The agent smiles in satisfaction and thanks the newest hunter Jung Sangwoo for his trust in this promising partnership. But then comes the crucial question. Between the slimes or the rabbits, which field will he choose first? The short, blunt answer cuts through the cafeteria air like a blade. "I won't choose just one." Sangwoo's fist slams down with determination, showing he didn't come to play by common rules. The stamp hits the document hard, sealing a destiny that will challenge everything Junmo knows. Sangwoo clarifies that when he said he liked both places, he was deadly serious about it. The mood at the table shifts as the agent processes what the young hunter is about to suggest. Junmo's eyes widen, sensing he's in front of someone who sees the world differently. "This means I want to hunt in both places at the same time," Sangwoo declares with absolute calm. Silence fills the room as the recruiter's mind tries to grasp the impossible logic of that proposal. He reiterates his desire to conduct simultaneous hunts, something no other F-rank hunter would even dare to imagine. Junmo remembers his ability as cloning, but still harbors doubts about the real utility of this power. Sangwoo merely confirms with a nod, keeping the mystery about the true potential of his physical copies. Curious and suspicious, the agent asks to take a closer look at how this technique works. "Certainly," the young man replies, already preparing the mana flow to summon his first manifestation of power. In a blur of motion, the silhouettes of clones begin to emerge around him like living shadows. Suddenly, the room is surrounded by identical warriors emanating an intimidating icy pressure into the environment. Junmo gasps in surprise, shocked by the sharpness and physical presence of those masked figures. One of the clones wields a katana with perfection, the gleam of the steel reflecting the technique's murderous intent. The blades move in perfect synchronicity, creating a barrier of death no one would dare cross without fear. "Wait a minute," the agent shouts, instinctively recoiling from the display of raw power he's witnessing. The clone's hand tightens on the sword hilt, ready to act at the slightest command from the original. Panic grips Junmo as he pleads for calm, not understanding what kind of monster he's recruited. Sweating cold, he stares at Sangwoo's face, seeking some explanation for that bizarre phenomenon. Sangwoo smiles and lies, saying that all of it is just an illusion without any real or dangerous substance. Agent Junmo analyzes Sangwoo with calculated attention, trying to decipher the mystery behind that seemingly ordinary boy. He watches the clone checking the contract, every detail, with the same meticulousness as a human being. All doubt dissipates completely when the agent sees the copy drinking coffee, quenching its thirst as if it were flesh and blood. "It's the first time I've seen an ability like this," Junmo exclaims, marveling at the power before him. The resemblance is so striking that he even asks if the two aren't in fact real twins. Sangwoo bursts into laughter at the confusion, amused by the situation he'd created. He admits the thought is reasonable, but soon prepares to reveal the truth about his technique. Placing his hand on the clone's shoulder, Sangwoo feels the warmth and solidity of the body he conjured. "This one here is my clone. He's real, not an image," he reveals, shattering his previous lie. What's more, he reveals there's another clone, sent for heavy training at a gym. "A training academy? Can clones gain muscles too?" Junmo asks, utterly disbelieving what he's hearing. Sangwoo confirms that if the copy gets stronger, the original receives all the attribute bonuses. Junmo reflects, realizing that Sangwoo isn't just any ordinary rank F, but someone with limitless potential. Getting back to business, the young man questions if there would be any legal issues with entering different places simultaneously. He needs to know if the association system allows the same identity to be registered in two portals. The agent explains that entry registration could cause conflicts, as each person's bracelet is unique. A look of disappointment crosses Sangwoo's face, but Junmo quickly devises a solution to bypass this bureaucracy. He promises to intercede with the association, but Sangwoo needs to officially demonstrate his ability. The young man agrees, warning that he'll only be able to use the power again the next day, due to the cooldown period. They arrange to meet at the Hunter Center in 2 days to resolve the registration issues. Junmo points to the contract, but Sangwoo has already anticipated all the bureaucratic steps. "I've already stamped everything," he announces, revealing that he even checked the profit percentages on the sent photos. The agent is impressed by his efficiency. The boy always seems to be 2 steps ahead. He extends his hand, eager to start working with who could be his big break. Sangwoo faces the future with a calm gaze, knowing his growth strategy is just beginning. The handshake seals the deal between the ambitious agent and the hunter who plans to dominate the system. In the brightly lit cafe, the contract is signed, and the plan for the first dual hunt springs into action. 2 days later, the imposing Hunter Center building emerges on the horizon under the blue sky. Sangwoo arrives at the location, a little lost in the immensity of the cutting-edge facility. He spots Junmo and calls out to him, feeling the typical anxiety of someone about to make history. The agent praises his punctuality. Sangwoo arrived ahead of the agreed time. They walk towards the association's facilities, where all the hunter's bureaucracy is processed. The center's interior is a hive of activity, with giant screens and elite hunters circulating. The sound system announces passcodes while imposing hunters await their next missions in absolute silence. At the service counter, the bespectacled employee stares at the request with an expression of utter bewilderment. Sangwoo explains that he needs duplicate access for his clones, citing his unique ability as the reason. The attendant gets nervous. The only similar case they know of is that of a legendary hunter named Jumper. He hands over a stack of documents and instructs Sangwoo to undergo ability demonstration tests immediately. Sangwoo sighs at the mountain of paperwork, realizing that a hero's life demands a lot of bureaucratic patience. Junmo offers to take care of the paperwork, while the young man heads to the mana testing room. The agent steps away, leaving the young hunter under the supervision of the specialists. In the testing room, a scientist prepares the sensors to measure the effectiveness and nature of Sangwoo's power. The young man concentrates, feeling the energy flow as the system analyzes every beat of his heart. Blue lights glow around him, capturing the exact frequency of his unprecedented cloning aura. The scientist observes the data on the screens, impressed by the stability of the energy emanating from the rank F. Sangwoo thanks him for the new bracelet, feeling the weight of that new responsibility on his wrist. The artisan laments in thought, believing Sangwoo would be a perfect guinea pig for his research. Outside, Sangwoo celebrates the finalized authorization, ready to begin his solo journey. He informs clone number 2 that preparations are over, and the hard work begins now. Junmo asks if he intends to go straight to the hunting grounds, and the young man immediately confirms. The agent questions why cover the clone with a mask, but Sangwoo knows that mystery fends off curious gazes. As they walk through the lobby, a powerful presence observes them from the upper floor. A sarcastic voice echoes down the corridor, making Junmo's blood run cold. It's Shin Hayeong, master of the prestigious Hayeong Guild, who glares at his former colleague with a mocking smile. The pressure he emanates is overwhelming, typical of a high-level hunter who disdains the weaker ones. He strides arrogantly, each word he directs at the JM agency agent dripping with venom. Junmo tries to maintain his composure, but the man's presence brings back bitter memories from his past. The atmosphere in the Hunter Center grows heavy, with bystanders stopping to watch the impending confrontation. Hayeong descends the stairs with predatory elegance, focused only on humiliating Junmo in front of everyone. "Long time no see," says the guildmaster, his face contorted in a sneer. Sangwoo observes the intruder, feeling the hostile aura and realizing this guy didn't come to chat. Hayeong scoffs at the fact that Junmo is still trying to work as a recruiter after everything that happened. The young man notices that the guildmaster jumped from an absurd height just to make his grand entrance. Junmo takes a deep breath and tries to be professional, greeting the man who was once his direct superior. He keeps his head down, knowing that any reaction could destroy the reputation of his small agency. Hayeong lets out a scandalous laugh, finding Junmo's continued attempt at respect pathetic. With a look of disgust, he points at Sangwoo and asks who the kid with him is. Junmo introduces Sangwoo as a hunter associated with his company, trying to protect the client's identity. The guildmaster lets out a dismissive sound, evaluating Sangwoo as if he were just some trash. He can barely hide his amusement upon realizing Junmo now settles for managing unremarkable rookies. Hayeong's eyes gleam with malice as he prepares his next insult against his former colleague. He looks at Sangwoo's simple clothes, and his expression of mockery reaches its peak of cruelty. "Are you perhaps an F rank?" he asks, letting out a laugh that echoes through the entire main hall. Hayeong continues to mock, saying that Junmo has fallen far from supervising B and C ranks. He can't believe the agent is looking after a kid who wears a hoodie instead of armor. Junmo clenches his teeth, rage boiling beneath the mask of professionalism he struggles to maintain. Suddenly, a firm hand lands on the agent's shoulder, interrupting the arrogant master's torrent of insults. Sangwoo steps forward, his face covered by his hood, but his eyes radiate a dangerous calm. The young man stares directly at Hayeong, showing no fear of the intimidating aura of the rank 1 hunter. "It seems this F rank has something to say," the guildmaster sneers, expecting an apology. But what he receives is an ironic smile from Sangwoo, who begins to speak in a firm, clear voice. He says it's an honor to meet the leader of the guild that monopolizes the most dungeons in the entire country. Hayeong feels flattered for a moment, thinking the boy finally recognized his grandeur and power. But Sangwoo continues, listing all of Hayeong Guild's rotten deeds, illegal restrictions, and abusive payment rates. The young man concludes by saying he doesn't know what to do with so much admiration for someone with such a rotten reputation. Hayeong's smile vanishes, replaced by an expression of contained fury at the rookie's audacity. The guildmaster's shadow looms over Sangwoo, charged with a murderous intent that makes the air vibrate. "Let's see if your skill is as good as your tongue," Hayeong threatens, preparing for a direct physical attack. Sangwoo doesn't back down an inch, maintaining his stance as the tension reaches a total breaking point. A subordinate in glasses shouts for the master to stop, realizing that a fight there would bring serious legal trouble. His subordinate follows him, trying to calm him down as they leave the building under the watchful eyes of everyone present. Later, inside the car, the silence is broken only by the sound of the engine as they drive away from the center. Junmo thanks Sangwoo for what he did, still shocked by his courage in confronting the guildmaster. "I couldn't just stand by and watch him humiliate you," the young man replies with disarming naturalness. The agent asks if Sangwoo already knew about the rivalry between him and the powerful Hayeong Guild. Sangwoo admits he researched JM Agency and discovered rumors that Junmo was unfairly expelled. He says it wasn't easy to find information, but Hayeong's history of persecution was very clear. The young man cites insider comments warning no one to join the agency if they wanted to avoid guild repercussions. Junmo laments that his reputation is tarnished online, which explains the difficulty in attracting new hunters. Curious, the agent asks why, even knowing the risks, Sangwoo decided to choose his small agency. For the 8-2 profit split, of course, he replies with a greedy glint in his eyes and a thumbs up. But deep down, Sangwoo knows that trusting Junmo is worth far more than any big guild contract. Junmo grips the steering wheel tightly, feeling profound gratitude for having found such a loyal and unique ally. The car continues its journey, crossing the bridge as the sun begins to set, marking the end of an exhausting day. The scene shifts to an empty gym, where the rhythm of the treadmills creates a mechanical, constant melody. A bandaged hand, trembling with exhaustion, grips the iron bar with desperate force, seeking to overcome its limits. Muscular legs strain under the absurd weight of the squat, veins bulging as the physical effort reaches its limit. It's Sangwoo's clone, training to complete failure to transfer every ounce of strength to the original body. A gym-goer watches from afar, their expression overflowing with concern at the insane intensity of the training. A woman comments that the guy seems to be in danger, but no one can make him stop or rest for a minute. Suddenly, his phone rings, and the clone interrupts his exercise, sweat pouring down as he catches his heavy breath. He drops the bar with a metallic clang, feeling temporary relief in muscles about to explode with pain. Sangwoo's message is short. Finish your workout, take a shower, and wait for me in front of the gym at 4. The clone walks on shaky legs, desperately drinking water to replenish what he lost in that routine of physical torture. The people around sigh with relief, seeing that he finally stopped, thinking the training nightmare was over. Meanwhile, in a dark cave, orange, sticky slimes slither across the damp floor in search of prey. The creatures emit strange sounds, filling the chilly environment with an atmosphere of silent, viscous danger. A dry blow strikes one of the monsters, causing the gelatinous mass to explode into 1,000 colorful pieces. It's Sangwoo, wearing a heavy gas mask and a full protective suit to avoid the creature's venom. He moves with agility among the slimes, eliminating each threat with surgical efficiency and precise movements. On his back, a tank collects the essence of the defeated monsters, the orange liquid glowing intensely. He finishes clearing the area and lets out a muffled sigh through the mask, feeling the suffocating heat of the equipment. Phew, he murmurs, removing the mask and feeling the fresh air enter his lungs. Junmo appears to check his progress, and the young man complains that breathing with that mask is a true torment. The agent explains that, despite being safe, slimes don't attract many hunters due to low profit and discomfort. Sangwoo stares at his own hand and realizes that this slow method won't serve his long-term plans. The agent explains that patience has its limits, as carrying these heavy tanks for 6 hours is pure torment. High-end equipment and gas masks would help endure the venom, but the cost would weigh too heavily on his wallet. I can't even last 2 hours here, let alone 6, Sangwoo admits, feeling the oppressive weight of the toxic air. But he breaks into a smile and introduces clone number 2, ready to take on the dirty work in the dungeon. With a swift movement, the clone puts on the equipment, assuming the identity of a laborer so Sangwoo can advance. The protagonist ties his shoelaces tightly, feeling the mental connection with his copy that has just been dispatched. He adjusts his glove with determination, for the real combat training is about to begin elsewhere. Good luck, number 2, he wishes, as his copy vanishes into the dungeon's darkness to hunt slimes relentlessly. Sangwoo decides that their next destination is the Horned Rabbit Field, and Kang Junmo agrees to take him there immediately. The agent notices something strange. Clone number 1, who should have been there, seems to have vanished from the map. I forgot to pick him up from the gym, Sangwoo comments indifferently, recalling the insane physical effort his copy was making. In front of the gym, Clone 1 is utterly spent, his legs trembling after hours of a workout that would kill anyone. Sweat pours down the copy's face, bearing all the exhaustion so Sangwoo's original body can grow strong. Junmo's car tires screech as he brakes abruptly on the sidewalk, breaking the silence of the falling night. The agent opens the door and orders number 1 to get in immediately, while Sangwoo observes the clone's utter exhaustion. The car speeds through the city as the building lights begin to glow under the orange sky of dusk. Junmo breaks the silence and asks if he's really just going to call his copies number 1 and number 2. They're identical. Creative names would only confuse me, Sangwoo replies, storing his mask and cap in the back seat. The agent agrees that names don't matter for summoning abilities, now focused on the dangerous journey ahead of them. We're finally here, Junmo says with a serious look as Clone 1 observes the heavy military movement just ahead. Ujangsan Field emerges on the horizon, a massive, futuristic structure surrounded by high walls and constant surveillance. Armed soldiers patrol the entrances, ensuring no monsters escape, and only authorized hunters cross the iron gates. Security is rigorous, with alert lights and scanners checking every person entering that death-marked territory. Sangwoo is impressed by the scale of the place, which makes the slime field look like a child's playground. The agent explains that this is the famous Ujangsan Field, the site of a terrible monster break years ago. Sangwoo has heard stories about breaks, moments when chaos shatters reality and spills nightmares into our world. Blue lightning streaks across the sky in visions of the past, revealing the silhouettes of colossal creatures that nearly decimated the city. The portal that opened was completely disconnected from our dimension, spewing hordes of giant insects and bloodthirsty beasts. Junmo recounts that most hunting occurs inside portals, but the Ujangsan break was a catastrophic exception. Soldiers fought bravely against blue, sharp-toothed monsters that tore through steel like paper. The black portal hung over the buildings, an open wound in the sky threatening to swallow all of humanity's hope. Monstrous insects with glowing eyes crawled through the ruins, hunting any survivor who dared to breathe. 5 years later, the high-class beasts were defeated, leaving only F and E rank monsters for beginners to train on. Sangwoo asks if the constant sound of gunfire doesn't bother the residents, as he watches the hunters preparing to enter. He exclaims, feeling the weight of an investment that could be lost if the hunt goes poorly. Junmo explains that ammunition is costly, but a single-horned rabbit is worth more than a bucket of slimes. Their spot? The 3rd floor of Building F, a segregated area for the safety of all hunters. They step into the elevator, and the agent confirms, this is it, as the doors open to a real shooting range, vast and pulsating. Reinforced windows separate the hunters from the creatures that roam freely across the terrain. Many hunters are already in position, focused on taking down the agile targets leaping among the city's rubble. A long-haired hunter complains about another missed shot, the smoke from his cigarette mixing with the scent of gunpowder. Another man smiles as he collects his prey, the rifle's patience proving to be the greatest virtue. Piles of dead rabbits are collected by staff, proving that this place is a true money-making factory for the skilled. Sangwoo watches in awe at the veterans' efficiency, feeling the pressure to perform at the same level. Then, Junmo points to seat number 4, the firing position designated for the young man to test his aim today. Are you confident in your shooting skills? The agent asks, watching the young man pick up the weapon with hesitation. Sangwoo lets out a confident chuckle. Do you know who you're talking to? He teases, ignoring that the license test target was much closer. He boasts about having only missed 3 shots. I feel sorry for these rabbits, he mutters as he prepares the rifle, feigning a confidence that has yet to be proven. Sangwoo puts on his ear protectors, isolating the ambient sound to focus only on his breathing and the scope. He swears no monster will escape the aim of the legendary Eagle Eye of Ujangsan, a nickname he invented himself. Junmo breathes a sigh of relief, focused on seeing the training results instead of hearing more nonsense. A horned rabbit appears in the scope, a furry creature with a sharp horn that gleams under the light. Found one! Sangwoo shouts excitedly, the agent surprised by his speed. He whispers to himself. He cries, the weight of failure crushing his ego. He asks if it makes any sense, as Clone 1 observes his master in absolute silence. The aim was perfect, Sangwoo complains, but something always went wrong at the last millisecond. The rabbit would twitch its ears and sniff out danger, acting with a superior survival instinct. At the moment of firing, the creature would leap away, leaving only a hole in the dirt and the sound of a vain explosion. Every time I try to shoot, it escapes. complains Sangwoo, wiping sweat as his rental time dwindles. Even Agent Kang Junmo had to leave, leaving the young man alone with his copies in that silent tower. He considers giving up, the ammunition money wasted. But then, Sangwoo looks at number 1 and gives the order. You stay and keep trying until the ammo runs out. The clone must send a message whenever it hits a rabbit, and call if the bullets run out. The copy merely nods. As Sangwoo lets out a heavy sigh, I'm going home, he mutters, walking to the exit as the sun finishes setting. Lying in his bed, system windows glow, informing him that his mana has steadily increased by 0.001. Sangwoo smiles contentedly, knowing that number 2 decimates slimes with admirable efficiency in the dungeon. His stats rise, strength, reflexes, and health gain small increments. The numbers don't lie. Progress is real, but Sangwoo feels there's still a long way to go to reach the top. He closes his eyes and an evil shadow emerges, reminding him of the powerful enemies he'll still have to face. I still have a long road ahead, he admits to the silence of the room, feeling the weight of his ambition. A deep yawn interrupts his reflections, and sleep overcomes him after so many hours of exhaustive effort. The image of the mocking rabbits floats in his mind, making the failed hunt an open wound on his pride. He intensely wishes that number 1 would take down at least one creature so as not to end the day in total loss. With that last thought, Sangwoo passes out, falling into a deep sleep as the world spins without him. On his nightstand, his cell phone vibrates non-stop, illuminating the dark room with dozens of notifications. Meanwhile, at the agency office, the atmosphere is tense. The phone rings desperately in the early hours of the new morning. The JM agency agent answers the call in a hurry, adjusting his tie, trying to understand what's happening. On the other end of the line, the voice is pure panic, coming from the manager of the toxic slime hunting ground. Hello, this is JM agency, says the agent, not imagining the shock he's about to receive. The manager screams, asking if it's Hunter Jung Sangwoo's agency, as if facing a catastrophe. He pleads for them to come quickly and stop the boy, as the situation in the dungeon has spiraled out of control. He's been hunting for over 24 hours non-stop. He's gone mad, the man yells, leaving the agent in shock. The agent hangs up and rushes to his car, promising to arrive as quickly as possible to prevent Sangwoo from dying of exhaustion. Sangwoo wakes up in his bed, stretching, feeling like he had the best night's sleep. He notices number 1's messages and thinks the ammunition must have run out sooner than expected. Upon opening the screen, the young man lets out a surprised sound, rubbing his eyes to make sure he's not dreaming. Wait, why are there so many messages? He wonders, seeing an endless sequence of identical notifications, marked with the number 1. His face freezes in pure shock, realizing that something monumental happened while he slept. The agent arrives at the slime field and freezes at the entrance, staring at the scene before him with wide eyes. Rows of enormous tanks are filled to the brim with the glowing orange liquid of monsters defeated in record time. He filled all this in just one day, he murmurs, unable to process the scale of that industrial production. Soldiers and employees observe Sangwoo's clone, who continues to move with robotic precision and an empty gaze. The clone ignores everyone, focused only on fulfilling the mission assigned by its master. The agent realizes there's no time to lose and calls Sangwoo, needing to stop that madness before the military intervenes. Sangwoo answers his phone with a simple, "Hello," acting as if he doesn't know about the chaos his copies are causing. Junmo shouts the good news, warning that the slime clone produced more than any entire team of veteran hunters. Sangwoo calmly thanks him and asks him to send cleaners to Ujang-san as well, leaving the agent confused. The young man explains that he believes the rabbit carcasses must be blocking the way and hindering circulation. In Ujang-san, the scene is one of a complete massacre, with a giant pile of horned rabbits accumulated in the center of the field. A crowd of hunters watches in shock, commenting that it's impossible to count how many monsters were slaughtered by a single shooter. Some opportunists think about stealing, but the aura of danger emanating from the hunter keeps them away. Clone 1 sits in silence, his cap hiding his eyes and his body stained with dried blood. Kim Byung-sik, a guild recruiter, approaches and praises his skills, trying to gain the prodigy's attention. He extends a brown bear guild card, but the clone remains static, as if the man doesn't even exist. The recruiter insists, asking if he already belongs to a guild, while other hunters look on with disgust. The clone merely emits a low sound, asking for silence, maintaining the mystery that already drives everyone crazy. Byung-sik puts away the card and murmurs that talented geniuses are eccentric, masking the embarrassment. Other recruiters laugh, while Agent Junmo watches everything from afar, disbelieving the impact. The group of professionals comments that they tried to talk to him several times, but the young man didn't utter a single word. Representatives of major guilds are already on site, sniffing out the raw talent of this hunter who appeared out of nowhere. They speculate he must have said something, but the answer is always the same, the absolute silence of the eagle eye. The original Sangwoo approaches the clone and delivers more ammo boxes, acting under the hood to keep the secret. He orders him to continue hunting and let the agent take care of the bodies. "Good job, number one," he whispers, proud of the strategy. The clone reloads the rifle with a dry, metallic movement, eyes focused on the next victim. With a loud click, he cocks the weapon, ready to resume the massacre that put his name in the headlines. The crowd screams, seeing him hunt again, flocking to witness the perfect technique. The noise intensifies, but a simple gesture for silence from the clone makes everyone retreat. Sangwoo reflects on the machine-like capability of his clones, who execute orders without hesitation or distraction. He realizes the copies can do much more than he imagined, but he's interrupted by an excited scream. It's his student, Hayeong, who asks what he's thinking about when he should be focused on class. Sangwoo apologizes and returns the corrected test, praising her performance, superior to last week's. He deflects, saying he was remembering a visit to the hunting ground that went better than expected. Hayeong jumps up, shocked to discover her teacher is a licensed and active hunter. Sangwoo admits he's just a novice, but the girl's eyes are already sparkling with admiration and curiosity. She asks if he knows the hunter, who is the main topic of all forums and news sites. "The god of aim, Ujong-san's eagle eye," she says with a wide smile, showing the viral video on her phone. Sangwoo chokes and spits out his water, asking who invented that ridiculous nickname for his clone. Hayeong explains that everyone is crazy about him on the Hunter Wiki. 200 rabbits in one day is a new record. She comments that the fact he doesn't say a word makes him cool and mysterious in the recordings. Sangwoo looks at the video and sees his clone being questioned by guilds, maintaining his icy pose. The clone's face in the video is the definition of focus, while the real Sangwoo feels a mix of pride and secondhand embarrassment. Hayeong sighs, saying he's so cool, and reveals her dream is to be a powerful huntress. The teacher tries to change the subject, asking if she has awakened any power, as a hunter's career is too dangerous. The girl admits she has a license, but feels a deep fear of entering a hunting ground alone. She makes a special request. If she gets a high score on the next test, Sangwoo must take her hunting just once. Sangwoo must think for a moment and accepts the challenge, promising to take her if she gets into Gyeongguk University. Hayeong jumps for joy, and he confirms that he knows safe fields where she won't be at risk. "Then promise me," she demands, extending her pinky to seal the pact. Sangwoo looks at her with a gentle smile, realizing how her life could drastically change. They cross pinkies, forming a commitment Sangwoo knows he will have to fulfill with full dedication. Hayeong shouts at him not to change his mind, while Sangwoo encourages her to focus on her studies to secure her academic future. He assures her she has the talent to pass university if she keeps working hard. The girl reinforces the request with a serious look, showing that taking the hunt seriously is what matters most to her. Noting that class has ended and the young tutor is preparing to leave, she asks if everything went well, and Sangwoo replies that Hayeong is talented and there's nothing to worry about. The mother smiles gratefully while her daughter watches the teacher leave, feeling her dream closer than ever. Sangwoo declines the dinner invitation, saying he has an urgent commitment. Hayeong watches him close the door, with a sparkle of determination in her eyes, not imagining that her idol just left. She throws herself onto her bed and screams to her teddy bear that she has a date with him. The girl can barely believe her teacher is a powerful hunter. At first, she found it strange because he was known by her father, but now everything has changed. Sangwoo's face won't leave her mind. She sighs, saying he's kind, teaches well, and is considerate. Hayeong hugs her bear tightly and admits, he's also incredibly handsome. A romantic atmosphere fills the room as she drowns in her thoughts. The young, budding hunter seems to have found her greatest inspiration. Meanwhile, night falls over the city, and the bustling centers never stop. Sangwoo heads to the collection point, curious to see if the work is done. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to him, with enthusiasm from the illuminated courtyard. Agent Kang Jun-mo greets him, surprised to find him there so late. The protagonist explains he was at his tutoring job and came to check on the progress. A worker passes by, carrying a giant rabbit, and mutters about the absurd volume of monsters. He confesses he's never seen a team called for so many horned rabbits. The total reaches 352 kills, a terrifying record. Kang Jun-mo asks if he's already checked the payments sent to his account. Sangwoo quickly grabs his phone, notifications turned off all day. The shock is immediate, and he almost drops the device upon seeing the numbers on the screen. He widens his eyes and asks if that absurd amount is correct. The agent explains that, since his abilities surpassed rank F, he adjusted the commission to rank E. Sangwoo thanks him, overwhelmed, feeling his efforts are truly paying off. But the joy is short-lived when a hoarse, aggressive voice cuts through the festive air. The group turns and comes face to face with a dangerous-looking man with a sadistic smile. The stranger points his finger and asks if Kang Jun-mo is that bastard's manager. The atmosphere instantly freezes as the aggressor stares at Sangwoo's masked clone. Kang Jun-mo tries to maintain his composure and asks who the man thinks he is. The guy reveals he's a hunter, whose prey was stolen by the mysterious masked figure. He complains that all the rabbits he intended to hunt were killed by the protagonist's clone. The thug touches his neck and says someone will have to pay for the damages. The agent swallows hard, realizing the situation could get out of hand. Sangwoo notices they chose the wrong place, and the atmosphere becomes heavy. He places his hand on his chin and starts to think of a strategic way out. The young man whispers to the agent that he has a brilliant idea. The bald hunter loses his patience and asks what the two are whispering about. He tries to appear fair and demands 10% of the total value as compensation. Sangwoo lets out a loud laugh, leaving the aggressor confused and furious. The man grinds his teeth and asks if the boy thinks extortion is a joke. The protagonist taps his clone's shoulder and tells the thug not to worry. He ignores the villain and calls the agent to leave, abandoning the bald man's shouts. Kang Jun-mo asks where they're going, and Sangwoo suggests a nearby cafe. The thug seethes with hatred at being treated like a nobody. He yells not to be ignored and prepares a punch loaded with fury. Sangwoo gives the mental command for clone number 1 to spring into action. The clone positions itself as the aggressor's fist cuts through the air. The impact occurs, but in a way the thug didn't expect. Sangwoo's clone takes the hit on purpose to create a scene. The masked figure's body flies backward with a cinematic visual effect. He falls to the ground dramatically, pretending to be severely injured. The clone's face shows feigned pain, while Sangwoo already has his phone in hand. The aggressor panics, stammers that he didn't even hit that hard. Sangwoo screams in horror, pretending to record a crime of brutal violence. He warns that the world of hunters will not forgive a cowardly attack. The thug looks around, seeing that the workers are witnessing everything. The protagonist puts on a show, saying that the video of the attack on Ujong-san's idol will go viral. Cold sweat trickles down the extortionist's face as he finally realizes he's fallen into a trap. Sangwoo approaches, his gaze icy, and questions, "Can we proceed now?" The villain is speechless, completely overwhelmed by the young man's psychological strategy. He grinds his teeth, but he knows if that video gets posted, his career is over. Later, in a safe location, the tension finally dissipates between Sangwoo and the agent. The protagonist asks about the Hayeong Guild, wanting to understand who his true enemy is. Kang Jun-mo confirms the aggressor was a member of this famous and troublesome guild, a giant organization, the agent explains, that attracts all sorts of human scum. Sangwoo then questions how he was so certain about the bald hunter's origin. Kang reveals that the man had been watching him since he arrived at the hunting grounds. He believes it was the guild's attempt at revenge against the JM agency. They thought the clone was a newly hired hunter and wanted to mark their territory. The agent admits, with a hint of shame, that JM's hunters don't usually last long. He warns, The Hayeong Guild won't stop trying to sabotage their growth. Sangwoo smiles and tells the agent not to worry, as he won't give up now. The protagonist's gaze shines with a determination that surprises the veteran before him. He states, with a voice of steel, that he won't let these bastards humiliate the agency again. Then, Sangwoo reveals he has an audacious plan to become incredibly strong in record time. The focus in his eyes shows he has already calculated every step of his evolution. Kang Junmo remains silent, impressed by the audacity of the young man everyone underestimated. The plan is daring and requires resources they are just beginning to acquire together. The boy asks what the agent thinks of the idea and if he's ready to collaborate. Kang admits he never thought of using clone abilities in such a tactical way. They schedule a meeting for the next day, at 2 in the afternoon, to begin the operation. Their destination is the Hunter's Market, the heart of high-level item trade. The market building stands imposing, shining under the sun like a temple of power. Here, the trade of weapons and armor has been frantic since the world changed forever. Large corporations dominate the sector, offering everything a hunter could desire to survive. Sangwoo enters the premises and immediately begins testing equipment that seems to have come from the future. A salesperson presents titanium armor that guarantees full protection against rank E. The protagonist puts on the piece and finds it extremely light and comfortable on his body. He looks at the weapon options and decides to focus on his current specialty with precision. Sangwoo states he will master firearms, and that protection will be more than enough. He then asks for 2 more identical sets to equip his clones with the same technology. The investment is high, but he knows the safety of his copies is his priority. The agent reminds him that he was also looking for specific skills for the plan. Sangwoo confirms he needs the familiar ability, although he knows it's hard to find. They walk through the luxurious corridors of the market in search of the rare skill orb. The place is vast, filled with relics and powers that cost unimaginable fortunes to many. Tension mounts as they approach the special skills section on the upper floor. Suddenly, the protagonist points to a display case and exclaims, "I finally found it!" The price shines intimidatingly on the tag, almost 130 million won. Sangwoo feels the weight of that value, but knows that without this power, he won't advance. He makes a proposal to the agent, suggesting an advance payment to strengthen their partnership. Kang Junmo hesitates, but decides to trust him and lends 50 million won on the spot. The young man thanks him with relief and says he will pay the rest in installments with the profits. He stares at the glowing blue orb, feeling the energy pulsating within the glass protection. With this new power, the money spent will return to his hands in a matter of weeks. Sangwoo takes the item home and observes the black box containing his future ace in the hole. He sits on the floor of his room and begins to read the instructions for using the artifact. The manual explained that one must inject mana or maintain direct physical contact with the artifact's body. Since he still can't properly control his mana, he searches for the manual activation button. The protagonist places his hand on the cold sphere and takes a deep breath before pressing it. A deathly silence falls over the room as the orb begins to react to his touch. Suddenly, an intense light explodes from the sphere, illuminating every corner of the enclosed space. Sangwoo lets out a grunt of pain as the energy floods his nervous system all at once. Shockwaves ripple through his body as the skill's information is etched into his very soul. The glow becomes blinding, and the floor seems to vibrate with the power of the awakened magic. The process is violent and swift, integrating the new power into the hunter protagonist's very DNA. A system notification appears in the air, confirming that the familiar skill has been created. The description reveals its true power: to share senses and vision with his chosen target. Sangwoo gasps, feeling the exhaustion of the integration, but a triumphant smile spreads across his face. The skill orb vanishes, leaving only magical smoke lingering between his hands. He clenches his fists, feeling that he now possesses the missing piece for his insane training. The young man murmurs that the stage is set and calls for his clones, number 1 and number 2. The 2 copies appear instantly, clad in the new titanium armor he had purchased. The sight of the 3 together is intimidating, forming a one-man army right in the kitchen. Sangwoo exclaims that it's perfect, and begins to coordinate each of their tasks. He knows the outside world has no idea of the monster he is forging within these walls. Later, He boasts to the agent about the colossal results that are now within reach. Kang Junmo admits that Sangwoo's performance has surpassed all his highest initial expectations. The protagonist recalls how he could barely hunt a single monster before, and now he dominates entire fields. He reflects on the punch incident and how difficult it was to perfectly time the impact. The plan required courage to place his face directly in front of the Hayeong hunter's fist. Sangwoo knows that the clone could have won the fight, but the strategy was about disgrace. The agent realizes that even with low stats, the clones possess absurd body control. The young man confirms the theory and states he will use this advantage to accelerate his own body's development. He explains that he needs 2 different locations to put his training plan into action. The objective is to use training grounds to perfect his mastery of both short and long-range weapons. Sangwoo arrives at the training center and asks to register for target practice. The instructor prepares the equipment, observing the masked young man with a certain curiosity in his gaze. The martial arts master asks if he wants to dive straight into battle, and Sangwoo requests a real pistol. Protagonist, with a sharp gaze, confirms he wants no toy weapons or simulators. The instructor warns, it's a real weapon with heavy recoil, dangerous for amateurs. Everyone prepares as the atmosphere in the training field grows tense, eyes fixed on the target. The starting signal is given, and the brutal training begins for the protagonist's clone. The target rises, and the gunshot echoes through the facility with a force that impresses all present. The instructor watches intently, noting that the young man possesses a strangely perfect posture. The clone's movements are fluid, as if he had years of real combat experience. Sangwoo grips the pistol firmly, feeling the weight of the metal in every joint of his hand. It is at this instant that he decides to activate his secret weapon, the new familiar skill. The agent still doesn't understand why he spent so much on a beast-taming skill. Sangwoo corrects his misconception, explaining that familiar isn't just for seeing the target. He reveals that all senses, including touch and smell, will be connected between them. The protagonist's face shows deep concentration as he closes his eyes. He asks the agent to imagine what happens when he feels everything the clone practices. The theory is revolutionary. He will download the clone's muscle memory directly into himself. With a low whisper, he commands the system and activates the familiar's sensory connection. The world around him fades away, and a new reality floods his brain. Sangwoo enters a trance-like state, where he becomes one with his clone. His vision shifts to the perspective of the masked figure holding the firearm. The bald instructor lunges at the clone, but Sangwoo feels the strike coming even before it lands. He senses the angle of the joints, the precise balance of the body, and the tension in every muscle. Information flows like a river, teaching his brain the secret of perfect movement. The clone dodges a staff strike with an elegance that resembles a deadly dance. Sangwoo processes the flow of force and the breath needed to maintain calm in combat. As clone number 2 fires, the real protagonist feels the pistol's recoil in his arm. He learns the exact timing to pull the trigger between one heartbeat and the next. Every mistake made by the clone serves as a direct lesson to the real Sangwoo's senses. The sound of gunfire and the smell of gunpowder make the experience visceral, incredibly real. The clay target explodes in the air, struck with precision that borders on superhuman. Sangwoo slowly opens his eyes, feeling stronger than he ever imagined he could be. He flashes a victorious smile and says to himself, "Now I can have all of this." A blue aura explodes around him, marking the dawn of a new and terrifying era of power. He feels every fiber of his body vibrate with new energy, a sensation of strength he never imagined he'd feel so soon. The experiences I just had, he reflects, processing the deluge of tactical information flooding his active mind. Sangwoo perfectly recalls the exact air pressure when the instructor's staff grazed his face during the real combat. The acrid smell of gunpowder and the brutal force of the pistol's recoil still echo in his arms, etched into his muscle memory. He gazes at his own hand, feeling the residual fatigue of the clones as if he himself had fought every second of those battles. Even standing still, he experienced everything. My clones did the work, but I shared every sense and every movement they performed. Since the clone's body is identical to his own, the experience flows perfectly, eliminating years of arduous training in just a few moments. He clenches his fist with confidence and smiles, feeling that he can instantly and flawlessly imitate any elite movement. The system confirms his evolution with brilliant alerts. His physical strength has increased, and his reaction time now borders on superhuman. Excited, he decides that today he will test both combat and shooting simultaneously, connecting to clone number 1 to initiate an intense combat training session. Sangwoo takes a deep breath, closing his eyes to plunge into the consciousness of his copy, already ready inside the training gym. The sensory connection completes with a crackle of energy, uniting the protagonist's mind with the body about to enter battle. In the gym, the atmosphere is heavy. The silence is broken only by the muffled sounds of training equipment being prepared. Veterans and trainers observe the masked figure, sensing an aura of danger that shouldn't belong to just any rookie. The instructor in the beige shirt positions himself, staring at clone number 1 with a gaze that mixes curiosity and a deadly challenge. Sangwoo feels the weight of the opponent's presence through the clone and swallows hard, recognizing the respectable power of that man. Spectators are shocked to see the head coach personally step onto the mat. Is the instructor going to fight after Seong-wook lost? The combat begins without warning, and the instructor charges with absurd speed, testing the masked figure's reflexes with a lateral feint. The staffs clash at a frantic pace, producing dry cracks that echo through the gym walls. The instructor delivers a heavy blow, but clone number 1 retreats by a millimeter, feeling the impact of the wind pass centimeters from its chest. The coach analyzes the situation coldly. His attacks are amateurish. He clearly has no experience with real combat staffs. Suddenly, clone number 1 counterattacks with a blow identical to the coach's, who widens his eyes. He just copied my attack. The instructor retreats to gain space, trying to understand how this young man can learn complex techniques in the midst of a life-or-death struggle. The masked figure advances without hesitation, seizing the opening to deliver a side blow that forces the veteran to defend desperately. The audience watches in absolute silence, completely dumbfounded to see the most experienced trainer in the facility being pressured by a masked stranger. Sangwoo breathes with the clone, feeling the perfect body balance and muscle tension before unleashing the next move. A thunderous impact occurs when the staffs cross again, unleashing a shockwave that makes the gym floor tremble. The instructor is pushed back by the brute force of the blow and lets out a cry of pain, feeling the weight of Sangwoo's evolution. He quickly regains his balance, but his face shows pure shock at the meteoric evolution he's witnessing. Clone number 1 stabilizes, maintaining a high guard and sharp senses, ready for any attempt at a comeback from the injured adversary. The instructor breaks into a savage smile, recognizing the boy's absurd talent, and prepares to show why he is the master. The two engage in a lightning-fast exchange of blows, so swift that ordinary eyes can barely follow the blur of their weapons in the air. In his original body, Sangwoo gasps in astonishment, feeling the complexity of the fight escalate with every passing second. A final blow lands, the sound of the impact reverberating throughout the entire building, bringing that frenetic sequence of relentless attacks and defenses to a close. The instructor pants, sweat streaming down his face as he stares at the masked figure who remains utterly still and focused. The watching hunters whisper among themselves about the trainer's skill, but admit he was almost defeated by the rookie. Sangwoo feels a sharp pain in his real wrist and cries out, "My joint!" realizing that the sensory connection also brings the pains of combat. The kimono-clad instructor wipes the sweat from his brow and admits the situation was dangerous, looking at the clone with renewed and profound respect. He asks if the boy wants to continue the session, but clone number 1 remains silent, merely absorbing the accumulated experience. Sangwoo mentally checks clone number 1's status, ensuring the copy is still functional for another round of intense tests. The masked figure's gaze behind the visor is cold and calculating, reflecting the protagonist's pragmatic mindset as he relentlessly pursues perfection. The instructor realizes the boy still hungers for battle and prepares for the next assault, adjusting his combat stance. The entire gym halts to watch, knowing they are witnessing something historic, a talent that emerges once in a generation of hunters. The veteran focuses his energy, determined not to be caught off guard again by the techniques so audaciously copied by the young man. Sangwoo is surprised by his own clone's persistence and decides it's time to take the training to the next tactical level. The combat restarts with an explosion of energy, the two fighters becoming blurs as they repeatedly clash in the center of the illuminated arena. "Once more, please," the clone requests in a firm voice, demonstrating that physical exhaustion is nothing compared to his will to evolve. The instructor smiles and accepts the challenge with a war cry, charging forward with everything he has. Sangwoo decides he has learned enough there and shifts his sensory focus to clone number 2, who is at the firing range. The transition is immediate, and the protagonist's vision shifts to the open field, where the smell of gunpowder burns his nostrils through the connection. At the firing range, other hunters practice, but no one displays the rigid, professional posture that Sangwoo's clone maintains. A light-haired man laughs loudly with his girlfriend, boasting about a mediocre shot, while Sangwoo observes the scene with silent disdain. The woman claps enthusiastically, oblivious that beside them, a true monster of precision is preparing for his show. Sangwoo ignores the distraction and focuses on the target, preferring to maintain silence as he calibrates his senses for the next firing sequence. Clone number 2 begins shooting at the clay pigeons with such speed that he even hits the targets of neighboring shooters. The amateur shooter is bewildered as the range instructor calls for more targets, unable to comprehend how the masked figure is clearing the sky of clay. The clone positions himself with the steadfastness of a statue, every arm muscle locked to completely nullify the violent recoil of the firearm. He keeps his upper body perfectly stable, allowing only his eyes and arms to follow the target's rapid trajectory. The technique is flawless. He doesn't move his torso, only rotates in the necessary direction, following the natural arc the pigeon describes in the air. The instant the crosshairs and the predicted trajectory align, the trigger is pulled with a smoothness that conceals a deadly force. Another target explodes into 1,000 pieces, reduced to red dust by the surgical precision of the hunter, who never misses a single shot. Clone number 2 reloads his weapon with a fluid, mechanical movement, a cold efficiency that only war machines possess. Sangwoo, in his mind, commands, "Remember every detail, and every micro-adjustment, every instinctive aim is seared into his brain." He absorbs the trigger's resistance, the weight of the metal, the vibration that travels up his arm with each successful detonation. The objective is clear. Sangwoo must internalize all the learning from his clones, forging himself into a one-man army. The sun begins to set on the horizon, painting the sky a vibrant orange, as the exhaustive training finally reaches its necessary end. Sangwoo opens his eyes in his real body, feeling the merciless weight of hours of effort crushing his shoulders. Sweat trickles down his forehead. He tries to process the mountain of tactical data now residing in his hunter's consciousness. "It's killing me to switch between clones," he admits. "The mental exhaustion of living 2 combat lives simultaneously is unbearable." He leans on a bench, catching his breath as the blue aura of his ability dissipates into the cool night air. With a heavy sigh, he decides it's time to rest. His brain is on the verge of collapsing from information overload. The evening silence of the park brings momentary relief, but the echoes of gunfire still resonate in his ears. He reflects on the madness of the clones' movements. They don't hesitate, feel no fear, moving only precisely what's needed for victory. Sangwoo decides that next time he will enter real combat himself, eager to test his new abilities in a truly perilous situation. Suddenly, light footsteps approach on the asphalt walking path, interrupting the deep thoughts of the exhausted young hunter. A schoolgirl stops before him, observing him on the bench with an expression mixing surprise and utter curiosity. Sangwoo lifts his head at being called teacher and is confused for a second before recognizing the familiar face in front of him. "Ah, Hayeong?" he responds, surprised to find her there, so late on an ordinary weekday night. He asks what she's doing there, and the girl promptly replies that she was studying at the library until now. Sangwoo laughs, knowing she's brazenly lying, and she retorts angrily, saying she's already finished all her accumulated homework. Meanwhile, in a shadowy location, a grim-faced man with a gold chain mentions the boy everyone's been talking about lately. The order is clear. Even if something happens, he must not mention the Hayeong Guild under any circumstances, or he will suffer severe consequences. The leader hangs up on his subordinate, calling him a mere street thug and severing any guild protection ties. Furious at being discarded like trash, the bald thug explodes with rage and throws his phone away, his blood boiling in his veins. He screams insults into the air, swearing he'll find the one responsible for his ruin and make them pay with every drop of blood. The man kicks the destroyed device on the ground, yelling that no one knows who they're dealing with and that he's still a real danger. Suddenly, a gruff voice interrupts his outburst. "What's wrong now? Why are you so angry like this, you idiot?" The thug freezes as he sees the giant Geun Seok approaching, a man whose brutal strength is legendary and feared by everyone in the criminal underworld. Geun Seok lets out a sinister laugh, his eyes glinting with a malice that makes even the most experienced criminals tremble in fear. He sits down and questions again why they let the target go without doing anything, while couples pass by in the distance, oblivious to the danger. The bald thug humbly apologizes, feeling small before the overwhelming presence of his superior, who calmly smokes a bitter cigarette. He asks if there's still work for him, as the guild has forbidden him from approaching the main hunting ground in the Seoul region. Geun Seok smiles and points to his partner Chang-won, saying that there are always dirty part-time jobs for those with courage. As they talk, Chang-won's gaze drifts to the distant walkway, where a young man in an orange hoodie calmly walks with a student. Silence falls upon the group of criminals, as they realize fate has just delivered their greatest enemy directly into their hands. Chang-won points frantically. "It's him! That damn bastard who recorded the video!" Geun Seok asks if he's absolutely certain. The thug confirms with hatred in his eyes, but Geun Seok orders him to calm down, preferring to act with calculated, cruel coldness. The thug's heavy hand grips the side of the pillar, demonstrating the brute force he's eager to unleash on young Sangwoo's body. They slowly approach from behind the concrete structures, surrounding the protagonist and young Hayeong, who are still chatting, oblivious to the threat. Sangwoo feels a shiver run down his spine, a hunter's instinct warning him that he's no longer alone in that isolated part of the park. Hayeong asks what he's doing there, and Sangwoo replies that he was just exercising, trying to remain calm despite his sixth sense's warning. A dry shout of "Hey!" interrupts their conversation. Both turn sharply to find the group of criminals blocking any escape route. The thug in the black jacket spits on the ground and says with a rotten grin, "I heard my brother owes you something, kid." The group completely surrounds them, Geun Seok's massive presence dominating the environment, making the air feel much heavier. Hayeong frightfully asks who these people are, and Sangwoo honestly replies that he has no idea, but he's already bracing himself for the worst. The jacketed thug stares at Sangwoo with pure hatred, remembering how his life was destroyed because of the recording made by the young hunter. Sangwoo realizes he's in trouble and mentally calls out to his clones, but knows they're too far to help him physically right now. Trying to buy time, he asks if he can help with anything, maintaining a defensive posture to protect the young student beside him. The criminal in the black t-shirt takes a step forward, clenching his fists and demonstrating they didn't come there for a friendly chat. "As if you don't know," yells the thug, but Geun Seok raises his hand and orders his subordinate to wait a second before attacking. The giant observes Sangwoo with an analytical gaze, trying to understand how such an ordinary kid managed to cause so much trouble for an entire guild all at once. Geun Seok makes a direct, cold proposal. "Delete that video right now, and we'll let you go in complete peace and safety." Sangwoo immediately distrusts the overly generous offer and asks if they would truly keep their word to let them leave without any aggression. He holds his phone firmly, but hesitates for an instant, sensing the obvious trap behind every word spoken by the giant criminal. "What's the guarantee you'll uphold the deal?" Sangwoo questions, forcing the thugs to reveal their true intentions. Geun Seok grinds his teeth, losing patience with the audacity of the kid who dares to question his supreme authority in front of all his men. He admits Sangwoo isn't stupid, but states with a cruel smile that he won't let the kid leave there completely unharmed after everything he's done. The hooded thug mocks Sangwoo's intelligence, saying he should have deleted the video right after recording it if he wanted to avoid problems. Sangwoo whispers to Hayeong to find the right moment to run and escape as fast as possible, while he tries to hold off the attackers alone. Geun Seok states that now there's a big difference, and the time for peace negotiations is definitively over for the insolent young hunter. The protagonist prepares himself, his muscles tense and his mind focused. Physical combat is the only possible way out in that critical moment. In a moment of suicidal bravery, Sangwoo faces the three criminals and unleashes the ultimate challenge. "I'm going to finish all of you here and now." Geun Seok lets out a deafening laugh at the kid's confidence, finding the situation hilarious due to Sangwoo's obvious numerical and physical disadvantage. He orders his men to teach the kid an unforgettable lesson, stating that Sangwoo will beg to delete the video after feeling the pain of the beating. The attack begins. The henchmen charge like wolves at the protagonist, who desperately tries to defend himself using the reflexes he trained with his clones. A blow hits Sangwoo squarely in the ribs, making him let out a stifled groan of pain as he struggles to stay on his feet. He tries to counterattack, but the thug in the white t-shirt is faster, landing a heavy punch directly to the young hunter's face. Sangwoo collapses to his knees, spitting blood, the bitter taste of defeat flooding his mouth as his enemies laugh all around him. The long-haired thug seizes the opportunity of his fall to deliver a violent kick to Sangwoo's back, burying him further into the cold asphalt of the park. Hayeong screams desperately for her teacher, her eyes filling with tears as she watches her friend being massacred with no real chance of defense. Another blow strikes the protagonist, who rolls on the ground, his consciousness wavering under the brutal, merciless rain of blows. Sangwoo bitterly realizes that theoretical training wasn't enough to prepare him for a real combat against three experienced aggressors all at once. The thugs close in for the final blow, but something in the environment begins to change drastically. A strange, electric pressure makes everyone stop. Hayeong's hand begins to glow with a pure white light, revealing a latent energy no one knew the young student possessed. With a voice imbued with authority and a hidden power, she commands everyone to step back and get away from her friend right now. Sangwoo lifts his head, shocked to see his friend enveloped in an aura of power. "Hayeong, are you an awakened hunter too?" The young woman's eyes gleam with fierce determination, reflecting the light of the energy freely emanating from her hands, clenched with strength and courage. She positions herself between Sangwoo and the criminals, her small figure now radiating a real threat that makes the thugs hesitate for the first time tonight. The thugs recoil a step, mumbling in fear if the girl in uniform is truly an awakened hunter capable of using direct combat magic. Geun Seok is furious at his men's hesitation and rages, calling them cowards for being afraid to face a simple, frightened schoolgirl. Hayeong stares at the giant without flinching and asks what will happen if they decide not to back down and continue with their unfair and cowardly aggression. Geun Seok ignores the warning and continues to approach with a scornful smirk, confident that his power level is superior to that of the novice girl. "I said don't come any closer." Hayeong screams, releasing a surge of energy that illuminates the entire area and cracks the ground beneath her feet. The giant criminal's arm lunges forward in a swift motion, ignoring the young woman's electrical warning and charging into a direct confrontation of physical strength. Hayeong grinds her teeth, concentrating all her power into a single point to try and repel the monster threatening to destroy everything she cherishes. A scream of effort escapes her throat as the energies clash, creating an explosion of light that momentarily blinds everyone present. The impact kicks up dust and creates a whirlwind of force. But Geun Seok continues advancing through the energy storm as if nothing can touch him. The fight escalates to a level of violence Sangwoo had never witnessed before. A deadly dance between the young woman's raw magic and the cruel villain's titanic strength. The other thugs watch the clash with reverence, knowing their leader is about to show those two youngsters the true meaning of despair. Hayeong's energy begins to falter under the giant's constant pressure, who seems to absorb every magical attack with terrifying, inhuman ease. A final shockwave pushes everything around, leaving a trail of destruction on the asphalt and shattering the nearby lights of the silent, dark park. Geun Seok emerges from the shadows with a look of victory, brushing a small speck of dust from his shoulder and smirking with blood-chilling disdain. He approaches the fallen girl and whispers with a voice laced with venom, "Grow up soon, child. The real world of hunters isn't a school game." Sangwoo sees the imminent danger to his friend and tries to stand, his body protesting with searing pain in every muscle and broken bone. He roars with all the hatred left in his wounded soul. "It's not over yet, you piece of trash. I'll kill you if you touch her again." Sangwoo charges forward with a last gasp of life, his eyes glowing with a strange red color that didn't belong to his original blue hunter's aura. His arm vibrates with unstable, dangerous energy, signaling that something within his power system has just definitively broken. Hayeong looks at him with both hope and fear, realizing that the Sangwoo she knew is giving way to something far darker and more powerful. The protagonist stares into the giant Geun Seok's eyes and prepares for the final blow, knowing this is the moment that will define his destiny forever.